So this is what we got now, and this is what I was expecting, and obviously the two are not the same, and the problem could be with the way that I wrote the tests, or the problem could be with the way that I wrote the profiler. Let's see if we can find out. I'm going to go to the profiler here, and I think the heart of everything is kind of at this add entry. So let me put a breakpoint there, hit a 5, and see what comes in for our times. Our time here should be 0, 1, 2. The first one should be 0, and it looks like it is. So the next one I would expect to be a 1. If it's not a 1, but yet again a 0, then I think there's a problem with the tests, not necessarily with this code. Let's find out. Hit F5, let it run again until it hits the breakpoint. Time is 0 again, so now I'm thinking, screwed up the tests. So let's jump out to the tests. I could have hit F10 and kind of walk through all this stuff, eventually working my way outside the function. But instead, you can go to debug, and you can say, where is it? Step out. But I am a hotkey guy, as you know, so I'm going to hit Shift 11, and that'll step us out of the function. I can see that our add entry code. Oh, that's funny. Wow. Wow, I hope you were screaming and laughing at me, saying, Jamie, you're writing out I every single time. Why did you do that? That's not going to give you 0, 1, 2. That's going to give you 0, 0, 0, and that's going to give you 1, 1, 1, and so on and so forth. So that's kind of embarrassing. How can we fix that? What's the best way to fix that? First of all, here we go, Shift F5, shut down the debugger. I'm going to drag this over here. And let's just, in fact, I think we're done with this header file. Let's take up the whole screen again. I think probably one of my first mistakes was iterating over num entries here, because if you look here, we do have 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, up to 13. But that's not what we're going for. What were we going for? We're going for 0, 1 to 12, 13, 14. In fact, I'm actually wondering, where's my 15th row? Whatever. I'm using a single variable to kind of go over the rows and the columns at the same time. When really I probably should have done 2 loops. One to iterate over the categories and one to iterate over the frames. So let's change our code to do that. Instead of saying num entries, first of all, where's my categories? Oh, I just know. Yeah, I'm not really keeping track of my number of categories here. You'll see here. So here's a flaw that we could probably refactor. I got category 1, category 2, category 3, but then I had to copy and paste those strings down here, and the fact that I have 3 categories, that's kind of a hideous way of me to do that. So let's actually take those strings and put them in a character array. So char star, we'll call it categories array gets curly curly semicolon, and then I'm going to just alt drag this, Control X, and just paste it here. Put some commas, and I think we should be good. Alright, so that's our categories array pointing to these string literals here. And then I can now say const unsigned int num categories gets size of categories divided by size of star categories. I hope that syntax looks familiar. Just as a review, this is going to be the size of the entire array, which I can do because this is a compile time defined array. The compiler knows the size of this array, and it's going to be the size of 3 pointers in this case, because they're pointers to these string literals that will be stored in the data section of the resulting executable file the compiler will generate. So where the string literals are stored. Anyway, so it's the size of 3 pointers divided by the size of 1 pointer. So the result of that will give us 3 in this case. What's nice about that is I could come in here and add more categories like so, and this compile time constant will adjust to that as necessary. Anyway. Okay, so we got num categories now. So I think right here we can say for unsigned int cat get 0, cat less than num categories, cat plus plus, and then I can say profiler add entry categories subcat, like so. So that's kind of cool. Instead of saying num entries, let's go through the number of sample frames we wish to do, which should be 5. So I'm going to say num frames is 5, and then we'll go up to num frames. And just to be consistent, notice I've labeled this cat, short for category. I could call it category if I want to. Instead of saying I here, I'm going to say frame, Control U, frame, and I think that should be good. Oh, but we don't have I anymore, and we want to write out 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Now I could do some fancy math here, combining frame with category, and get a result here. But you know what? Let's just move on. All right. I've learned with that ternary operator that obviously whenever I try to do something fancy, I just screw it up. So let's do float. Let's do sample number. How about that? Get 0, and then here I'll just say, let's pass in sample number plus plus. Control Shift B. Hopefully this builds. Build started. Now when this does build, I could hit Control F5 and see if my tests pass. But I'm actually, since there was a bug, and I'm kind of working through this and my mind is in context, I'm going to take it further and step through and just kind of watch what happens. Num entries, undeclared identifier. Oh, what's this? This is our test. Oh yeah, that's right. So we're going through checking everything one by one. Well, let's do I less than parentheses, simply for readability. Num frames times num categories. And that should be good. That should probably be good. Num frames is 5, num categories is 3. That'll be 15. So let's build again, see how that builds. Build succeeded. Okay. So I could Control F5 this, but I don't want to. I'm actually going to step through it. I believe I still have my breakpoint. I do right here, the thing that started it all. Control Shift dot, or you can think of that as right angle bracket to zoom in a little bit. F5. And oh, we got the disassembly window. That's kind of cool. Go check out my assembly programming playlist if you want to understand what all this means. It's really cool and helpful. Frame index is 0. Yeah. This is right. So time should be 0. Good. The next time should be 1. Oh, look at that. Next time 2. Next time 3. Very good. So I think I will remove this breakpoint. Hit F5. I'm hoping that the tests all pass, but if they don't, then that's fine. We'll just work through that in the next video. And I'll just keep working this way, refactoring and finding the bugs. And eventually these tests will build up to something very useful and powerful. So let me F5 on this. And looks like profile CSV is being modified in the background, which we'd expect. I forgot about this breakpoint. Let's hit F5. And oh, that's annoying. Let me do Control F5 so the window stops. Okay, look, we still got errors. Alright, and I mean, we're getting closer, but we're not quite there. So next video, let's find the next bug and solve that problem.